Hi, I'm Carmen Geddes from 10 Sisters Handicraft, and today I'm here at Riley Blake, and we are going to make a fun quilty t-shirt. So we have a couple samples here, traditional quilt blocks, which are really fun, and today we are actually going to make this fun pineapple on our shirt. And so I'm going to tell you what we need to get started. We are going to need some kind of an iron. I've got a nice little travel size iron. You're going to need a t-shirt. I recommend that you pre-wash the t-shirt before you get started. We've got our pattern for our pineapple. Glue stick is going to be important, some scissors, and some kind of marking pen. Depending on your t-shirt, you can use water-soluble marking pens. We are actually going to use some chalk liners for this. You're going to need your fabric and a ruler. And so I think we are ready to get started. So the first thing we're going to do is, I'm going to scoop some stuff out of the way here. First thing we're going to do is create a grid on our t-shirt so we can put our squares on it. Actually, I'm going to back up. Let's talk about our fabric squares. First thing we're going to do is cut out our squares, and we're also going to, instead of making a half square triangle, we're not piecing this like a quilt. So you're going to cut out actual triangles. And for today's project, I've cut out 1.5 inch squares, and this is scrappy, so I've got all sorts of fun different fabrics. And we're cutting out 1.5 inch squares. And then you're going to for your triangles, you're going to let's get some scissors. To make these little triangles, you're going to just cut from corner to corner. Now, the technique for today's project is raw edge applique. And so to me, what raw edge applique really means is your cutting does not need to be perfect. This is going to actually be washed, right? And so these edges might get a little bit frayed. And so to me, this is the most fun thing about this whole project is don't worry about cutting out perfect squares and cutting out perfect triangles. So what we want to do on this t-shirt is to find the center. So to me, the easiest way, and you can already tell I'm super exact, we're going to just fold this t-shirt in half so we can get the center, and I'm going to use the iron to just give that a little press, and we're going to just find our center. And so for the pineapple pattern, this is actually a little mini quilt pattern that is on my website, but the picture is really all we need for today. So there will be a link in the description of this video to download this picture. So you'll have the pineapple. So I'm going to put my picture here so I can see it. We've cut out squares. Now notice that a few of my squares are actually pre-sewn half square triangles. So this is a really fun way to use up some of these leftover pieces from other projects. So it does not need to be a half square triangle. It can be just squares. I just happen to already have some. So then we're going to take our t-shirt, and we have marked, I'm going to turn it this way. Let's see if I can make a pineapple upside down. That'll be the test. So now we're going to use the ruler. And like I said, I'm going to use my chalk. There we go. So we're going to use this chalk. Now these are both, I think this is called like a Choco liner. And it's like a little powdered chalk inside, but there's the little wheel on it. So we're going to take this, and this is the same thing. This is something I've probably had for 20 years, but it's the same thing. It's a little chalk liner. And so one thing that is nice, these are refillable. And so we're going to mark a line down the center to give us a center line. And then I'm going to use some glasses so I can see. And then we're going to look at our pattern. And so this pattern is, our pineapple is 4 squares across. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 squares down. And so the nice thing about the 7 squares is that we actually can find the center of this. 1, 2, 3, no, 4. No, we can't. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to eyeball it. Never mind. So I'm going to start about about 2 inches from where that neck is the neckline is, about 2 inches down is where I want the top of that pineapple to be. And then I'm going to just draw a line across. These are 1.5 inch squares that I've cut out. So we're just going to come down 1.5 inches. Now it doesn't need to be exact on the sides, right? This chalk is going to go away. We're just giving ourselves a nice little reference. And we're going to draw this chalk across 1.5 inches all the way down. Don't you love a ruler that has that 1/2 inch marked? So this is going to be open space. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, what did we say, 7? And here's the other good news. If you start laying this out and you say to yourself, this is too far down, this is, not far enough up, you are the boss of your t-shirt. So you can actually put these anywhere you want. So as I'm looking at this grid and how many squares we're going down, I think I'm going to start my top row up here and not go down a square. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a great place. And now we're going to do the 1.5 inch going out the sides. And I think I already did too many because this is so fun to do this little chalk liner. Can I just say? So we actually only need 2 squares. So we're doing 1.5 inch lines all the way down, and then now we've created this grid right on the front of the t-shirt. So we're going to get the glue stick, and again, this is a water-soluble glue stick. And okay, I'm going to turn my picture this way because otherwise there's no telling how this pineapple is going to turn out. And so I think it's a little bit easier to just put some glue right on this square. And now I can make a pineapple. I can do this. And remember, this is going to get washed. Now here's my philosophy about Scrappy, because I think we can drive ourselves crazy overthinking the fabrics and what's going to go where. And so my suggestion with Scrappy is just lay it down and see. Okay, now I'm going to turn it this way because I realized, no, I'm still looking at it upside down. Okay, so we got the top of the pineapple, and then we're going to lay, see, I put that glue in the wrong place. Now remember, it's going to get washed away, but here's my philosophy with Scrappy. We tend to start overthinking where we're putting something and what the color is going to be. And so my suggestion with Scrappy is just lay it down and then just step back and look at it, right? And so I'm going to actually throw these little half square triangles in here just because I can. And I just think they're kind of fun. But like I said, these are just left over from a project. Now the other thing, see, now I'm getting picky with my Scrappy. I can't help it. Nope, I'm going to do another one. Okay, forget what I said about my philosophy. Because obviously I'm putting these where I want. So there's the top of our pineapple. So we're done with the green, and let's do some little I want to call them half square triangles, but they're just triangles. But because this is going to get washed, it doesn't matter if a little bit of glue gets around in some different places. And this is below this guy. Isn't this a fun way to piece? And this little grid is going to go away. Okay, here's kind of another little idea. So once I get a little bit more decisive, I'm actually gonna, and I'm probably not gonna do the whole pineapple, but I'm going to throw down a little bit of glue in these squares and just start placing these. And I think it's okay if everything doesn't touch. That's all right too. And we're going to get our last little triangles down. So my question to myself here is, now is this starting to look like a little pineapple? Look how fun that is. All right, now one nice thing about using a glue stick is these washable glue sticks are starch based. So now we're gonna just take this over to press. And we can kind of look at it, see how fun that is. And now we're just gonna, I call it heat setting. We're just gonna use that iron to just secure all these squares down. And one thing we want to do with the iron is we don't want to do this. We want to just hold that iron still for a good, 3-4 seconds. This iron is nice and hot, just a hot, dry iron, and it's doing a couple of things. Of course, it's helping to dry the glue, which is good, but it also kind of crisps these up. Now, the other thing I want to check is, how did I do with gluing? So before we go to the sewing machine, we want to have this glued down pretty well. And so I'm just gonna kind of look at some of these. There we go, just a little bit better. Give that a nice little heat set, just so everything's not lifting, and definitely you don't want something falling off before you take it over to the sewing machine rather. Oh, this one, see, this is what happens if I'm talking while I'm gluing. There we go. Let's get this one down. This one needs a little bit. Okay. Ta-da! Isn't that fun? And so this, to me, when you're going with something scrappy, this is when you can kind of look at it and say, okay, do I like where these squares are? Do you like these together? And some of you might be looking at this and saying, oh, okay, I would rearrange a few of those, but I'm going to leave it just where it is. So now we are ready to bring this over to the sewing machine. Now I've just got the sewing machine threaded. I've got it just on a straight stitch. I'm going to take off this little tray so that we're exposing this open arm, which I'm pretty much most of our sewing machines do this. It's not, it is not required, but it's just going to help, because we don't want to sew through the front and the back of the t-shirt. We're going to just bring this in and have the free arm so that we don't have that back of the t-shirt in the way. So I've got this set at just a straight stitch. You can set this at a zigzag if you want to. And the other thing to keep in mind is that you can't really over sew this. It's okay if you go through these lines several times. And so we're just going to sew straight through. Now, because this is going to get washed, then you can go right close to the edge. You can go over the edge a little bit. This is meant to be really fun and easy. And so the other thing that you can think about doing is you can think about doing this free motion, right? You could think about doing a free motion on your sewing machine. That's kind of a fun thing. So I'm kind of just sewing through. Every now and then you're gonna reach under there and make sure that the back of your t-shirt is not exposed. And let's have that needle down. And we're just going to kind of manipulate this, where it's the easiest for you to get where you need to go. So now we're going to make sure that, now we're going to go down. And you're just going to sew through all of these squares. Now I probably could do a little bit better job gluing this, but I think we're going to get the idea. There we go. See, I'm kind of just get that nice and flat before you start sewing it down again. So just kind of take your time if you want. Go really fast if you want. We're going to just do this nice little raw edge. And so right here, I've already sewn this one, but it's okay. I'm just going to sew it over again so that I can get to the next row. And so you're going to sew through all the squares. Now I'll tell you, you're going to find out if you did not sew a square down when you wash your t-shirt, you're going to find out what you did not sew down. Okay, now I am sewing down this last little row, that triangle back up. All right, I'm just gonna go all the way down to the bottom just because I can. A little back stitch there for good measure. And then we're gonna pull this out. And that is it. Let's pull this out, clip that thread. I'll show you. So one thing I want to really mention again is this does not have to be perfect, right? This, see, I've got some little spaces. There's even a little corner folded over, and that's totally okay. And so this is meant to be a little bit more organic. We're gonna wash this. The edges are gonna rag up a little bit. And so I hope that you will go find some of those plain t-shirts and get your favorite quilt block out, and let's make some fun quilty shirts using raw edge applique. So you can check me out on my website is 10sisters.com. I am 10 Sisters Handicraft on Instagram and Carmen Geddes Quilts on Facebook. So have a great day and let's go make some fun t-shirts.